You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Also sponsored by CNB Bank. Go to carlsbadnational.com to learn more. Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM and the host of Community Forum. And with me today, I think maybe your third time, potentially, Howard. It's Howard Danforth with DanforthTravel.com. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Mr. Chandler, thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you very much, Howard. You don't have to be that formal with me, Johnny. It'll be fine. But Mr. Chandler works too. For those that don't know, the radio station is working with the Southeast New Mexico College directly now. We're recording everything at the college. So Mr. Chandler is becoming a lot more normal for me as I'm teaching a podcasting class and dealing with students on a regular basis. So Mr. Chandler's starting to feel a little more normal. But for you, Howard, Johnny works.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, cool. So Danforth Travel, local travel agency here in town, been doing it for a very long time. You told us about that.
28 years.
28 years total you've been doing it. Last time we had you on, you were talking about your 74-day cruise. And where did that cruise, remind us of how much of the world you traveled last year on the 74-day cruise.
With the 2023, a Grand South America and Antarctic cruise.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Antarctic, huh?
Yes.
Did you like Antarctic? I don't remember.
It was very interesting because you comparing sometimes the Antarctic when those do the Alaska cruises, see the glaciers there.
Right, you were south.
Yeah, we were at the South Pole, not the North Pole.
Right. I had an uncle and his wife that did like an Antarctic cruise. I don't know, north or south, one of the poles, right?
Okay.
I think it was south actually. And they came back and there's like a 5-month cruise or something. They came back and like, yeah, it was cool, but we only needed to see a couple of days of it, you know.
And I would confirm that. We were there for 5 days. This was on Holland America, and on their Volendam ship. It was seeing the glaciers going through the fjords. Now, there's a difference as a cruise line versus an expedition line. It was like Hurtigruten and some of these others. They actually stop and port, and you get off and stand on the land.
Now, that's what you were part of. No, you just kind of cruised by.
The cruise is the liabilities of the cruise lines is they only go so far, and they keep going through the fjords. But it's close. It's really a close encounter without sinking the ship.
Right.
Because, believe me, they're very busy looking at the different ice. And
right.
But you could see the penguins. You could see sometimes the whale. You could see different animal life. As you see the magnificent escarpments of the glacier themselves. Now, 4 or 5 days, that gets you pretty well versed, and that's head back north.
Right. So, okay, you see this. So that was last year. 2024, you decided to up your game, I guess, and add a whole 20 days to a different cruise this year. So you went on a 94-day cruise this year.
Yes. And I was the host for 59 people. 59
people. So remind us, obviously this cruise is not free for you as the host, but you are adding some responsibilities to your trip that then kind of make the trip a little cheaper for you than it would be the average person potentially.
It gives a travel advisor who is involved with her consortium, in this particular case, Travel Leaders Network, Distinctive Voyages. It's a perk that travel agents give to their clients. It's not purchased. The perk of the Distinctive Voyage is that you get a host plus some excursions that are complimentary. And that's what I was there for, was to be the host. And yes, I'm glad they selected me because it gave me a chance it was called the Grand Australia and New Zealand, 94 days. Gave me really an opportunity to learn the South Pacific, Australia, all the way around New Zealand, and actually stopped at Komodo Dragon Island and chased a dragon.
Oh, that's really cool. That's excellent. So let's 94 days is a lot of time out of the year, right?
Yes,
and so I assume that the demographics of this cruise tended to skew a little older and a retiree audience more than it was. Like, I mean, nobody in their mid-40s is probably independently wealthy enough to take 94 days on a cruise or has kids or school or whatever,
No,
right?
it tends to be 50 or older, and it also tends to vary with your income level. Sure, certainly, in that part, there was quite a versatility there, though, and very active senior activity. And we won't say senior, but adult.
Yeah.
Senior adults very active, and there was those who were really, I would say more. They were somewhat able to, but they were there more for the care of what the ship gave them.
Really?
So, like given two spectrums, adventure or a retirement center.
So if you're on this cruise ship with Holland America Cruise Lines, so you paid for this trip. I mean, they cater to you. They cater to you, right? You also have a doctor that's available like at the snap of a finger, right?
Yes.
Dedicated to you and your cruise, and everybody on the crew.
And usually more than one.
Right. Now, how many individuals were on this ship with you for 94
On this
days?
particular cruise, 1,200.
So 1,200. Okay, so you got a couple of doctors for 1,200 people. It would take how long for you to see a doctor if you weren't on the ship? Probably quite a while. And then the food is good, right? And it's catered to you, and they have fitness facilities and healthcare facilities. So, do you think that some individuals took this 94-day cruise as opposed to paying for an assisted living facility or something?
Yes, I do.
Right. What do you think about that strategy, that idea? I mean, I've heard it before. I've seen national news stories about it.
These individuals were able to evaluate their income or retirement to what the cruise lines were offering them, and understand that when you start doing extended cruises, back-to-back cruising, then that is where a travel advisor comes in to help you negotiate these rates with the cruise line.
Right, because if you're going to continuously spend this much money over and over and over again with a cruise line, it's almost like the Walmart model. Walmart buys so much of a product that they can lower the price of it and sell it cheaper than everywhere else. So then if I'm going to cruise for 3-4 solid years, I want a travel advisor to make sure that I get the best rates because this company is going to give me discounts knowing how long I'm going to cruise with them.
It is. You start off first with the itinerary and the amount of time that you want to spend. And then from there, we go then into I call Holland Direct or the Cruise Line Direct, and what other amenities and pricing are you able to offer this particular client? And yes, there was. I have to giggle.
Okay.
I have 300 days at sea with just Holland America.
Right. Over how many? I mean, you have 94 just last year. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, so that could only be 4 years of your life, Howard.
But there was individuals, very common, had 1,200, 1,400, 1,800.
Oh, so you're a rookie.
You bet. Yeah. And then the guy that had the most had 2,800 days, 8 years at sea.
So after 94 days at sea, and I know you do a few excursions, you're on some land, but you didn't sleep in a hotel at all on land the whole trip, right? Were you on the cruise every night for 94 days?
I was on, yes, but then your question, and this is again comes back to what is your travel budget, and it comes right down. Are you looking for that 7 day, and you got a budget, a family of 4 or 2 for a romantic getaway, versus the I lost my point of thought there.
Well, so there's a point that I was going to get to on that. Is I did a 5-day Carnival cruise once only. Mom and Dad spoiled us, the kids and our spouses at the time, so it was a lot of fun. But I know what my sea legs were like when I got off that ship after just 5 days, right? So what I'm leading to is, what do your sea legs feel like after 94 days at sea?
Well, Johnny, you do go into Port Sacal and have a chance to
level out.
To level out. And you asked me about the whole time on the ship. There were 2 or 3 points in this particular itinerary where you could elect to stay overnight.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and that could be a 2-day excursion or a 3-day excursion while the ship is doing things. You're doing an adventure on land. The great example was last year on the 74-day, many people got off to do the Augusta Falls, and that was a 3-day excursion.
And where are the?
I
don't know what those
in
are.
South America. Excuse me, Augusta Falls, South America, by Buenos Aires.
Okay. Very popular destination.
Yes.
It sounds like.
And then here we were going through the Polynesian islands, and we were ported overnight. And I know one couple who booked an overnight in the overwater bungalows.
Oh yeah. You've
So
seen
they were doing that experience while the rest of us on the ship wondering what the adventure was. But so there are cases, particularly when we stay overnight or 2 nights. Sydney was another port where we stayed 2 nights.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you make it down there? You should probably spend a couple of days there.
Yes, and then again, my desire to do this, and being a host was a component to work with people in the traveler, but also for me to learn the different ports. And Sydney was a very fun port.
Sure.
So
what kind of bonds do you make when you're a host on these long cruises? I mean, I see like the potential for some real lifelong friendships.
There are. I made one real strong friendship last year on the South America cruise, and the same this year. You don't make a lot, but there's some people you do want to stay in contact with.
Now, Howard, let me ask you, are you a single man?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're going on these long cruises. I assume that there could be a new life partner for you on one of these cruises if you would open yourself up to that.
Well, the shorter cruise, for my public advice for the singles, is the shorter cruise offers you more adventure. Okay. And
all
opportunity. Right. Okay. And we do have single cruises.
Oh, yeah. So contact you if you're interested in doing a single cruise,
that's
right?
Right.
Okay.
So because we're talking about two different ends of the spectrum.
Okay. Well, so you're a single man, Howard.
Yes. and so, yes, there is. The other is the longer cruises tend to be a little more, I would say, platonic. In that sense, you enjoy meeting and doing things. I didn't say, although you can fall in love and meet your. The captain was the great example of all.
So you had two captains on the cruise, right? Over 94 days, you didn't have one captain the whole time.
It had two.
Okay, so there was one captain that you felt, because you told me this before we started recording, actually, that you just kind of felt like was real charming, kind of above and beyond what other captains do.
Out of my many cruises.
Yeah, out of how many? So I want to let you talk about the captain for sure, but let's. So you have over 300 hours with Holland America.
300 days.
300 hours. 300 days with Holland America, right? And you're a rookie, but you've cruised all of them, right? So how many total days at sea do you have then? Do you have that number?
Yes, over 300.
No, but that's just. I thought that was just Holland America.
Oh. Okay, add all the other cruises.
Yeah, Holland America, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, all of them. I mean, you've done them all.
Cruise of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It adds another couple of hundred.
Good, excellent, cool. So my point being, I'm leading into the idea that we're looking at 500 plus days of Howard Danforth at sea, right, on this planet. Pretty amazing stat, actually. Congratulations, for one. It's a passion of yours, and you've lived it, right? But this captain, out of 500 plus days, stood out. Tell us what it was about this gentleman.
This is where we come back and compare the different cruise lines and the ships.
Okay.
Why am I a travel advisor? I can take it from the business standpoint of the 3, 5 days, 7 days, 14 days, Alaska, Europe, river, Caribbean. Caribbean is the softest body of water.
The softest?
The softest.
Now, what does that mean?
That means very little swell.
Oh, okay, good. Because I'm thinking like soft water in my shower versus hard water in my shower. But no, that's not really what it is. It's just a really, and I've been to the Caribbean. That's where we went when we cruised. Obviously, one of the more popular, shorter destination cruises, right? You go to Miami, you hit Fort Lauderdale, and then you're in the Caribbean in no time, 5-7 days. You're having a really, really wonderful time.
That's right.
Right.
And usually the weather is most favorable for you in the Caribbean.
Yeah, real consistent.
Now, the difference is when you're going through the Pacific, and I've been in all the way to Alaska in it, and it's there's pretty big swells. Same thing in the South Pacific. When you're coming out of New Zealand, you're pretty close to South America and the Drake Passage. What are the swells like? Now most of the passengers on the ships are very accustomed to this. We're going to have a little bit of rocking here and there, but no big deal because this is where we are physically in that big ocean. So that's why the first time cruisers really needed to look at the Caribbean, and there are 7-day, 14-day cruises.
Right. So you do not suggest that somebody does their first cruise ever. You do not suggest that they take a 94-day cruise for the first one.
Well, there's always that one out. Yes, Johnny, make sure that client calls me, please, because I want to book it. And I just booked an individual on 124 days.
Okay, so that leads me to, are you done cruising for 2024 already? We're just barely in the middle of it.
Well, I don't know. I may sneak off and take a 7-day cruise.
And are you working on a long cruise for 2025?
I am.
Okay, the same type of thing, right? Hosting, the same deal.
I put my hat in for the 124.
Oh, and that's so awesome.
Because it's going not only in the South Pacific, but it's going all the way around.
So you're in this cruise, you're in the deep, deep ocean, right?
Yes.
You're in the middle of the Pacific. You showed me your route. It's kind of like if you're claustrophobic, you could feel isolated on that because it's just so vast, but yet small at the same time. You're so singular. I know you said they're going to rock a little bit, but I just have to believe there was some very serious rocking in the middle of that ocean.
There was actually, we had more of higher swells because of the weather. The high pressure, low pressures, and this was a San Diego round trip.
Yeah.
And so the first 3 days, we were heading toward Honolulu. There was weather out there, although we're not directly in that, but it does affect.
Yeah, the water, the currents, all that stuff.
And ripples all the way for hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
And we had some rock and rolling. You always giggle when you hear the dishes fall out of the cabinet. And
yeah.
Okay.
It happens.
They got to pick up the pots and pans. I want to come back to the captain.
Yeah.
Out of all the captains of the different ships, this one on this cruise, I think it was his name was Captain Rains von Ettern. You can hear me pronounce that name.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Where is his name on here? Captain Renz von Ayrton, as he cooks up a tasty apple pie. So you could watch him cook an apple pie at 10 a.m. in the Wajong Theater. Right?
So you actually said, why is the captain doing a cooking class? He brought more, I think, humor, and his wife was with him for this part of the cruise, and they both, and of course they're from the Netherlands, and talking, and they made their presentation. But then I want to get to something that what's the difference in the different cruise lines and the destinations and the time?
Okay.
He had a dining under the stars where all the table was set up on the stern by the Lido pool there, and you had to make your reservation. But we actually ate outside with a tablecloth and the 5-star service. And guess what? He and his, as he said, the love of my life, and they got up and they started the dancing. So the captain was more active with the guests, our morning lectures, and being visible.
Now, So not every captain's that way. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a unique story, right? So not every captain's that way. Did he just have the availability to do it more than other captains? Was the weather better? The ship was just running smoother. He wasn't as the CEO of the ship, right? There's a lot of things that pop up. There's a lot of fires to put out. It's not the best analogy, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of little problems that pop up that you got to stamp down right away. Do you think that he was just in one of those beneficial situations where the cruise was great and he had time? Or do you think that he works that in?
Well, this is where I can say, the cruise lines, the smaller ships offer more intimacy versus the large.
Now, this was a smaller ship?
Small ship. This ship at 1,200, it was only 85,000 ton, the Volendam, a very traditional workhorse type cruise ship. And I can share with you, there are many 85, 90,000 ton ships, Viking, Virgin Atlantic. That's the singles. That's the single
the Virgin
cruise,
Atlantic.
okay?
Yeah, take that one.
And versus the family, and the end resort being the Icon of the Sea, 225,000 tons and 22 stories tall.
And Icon, who owns Icon?
Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean. Okay. All right. That's like a brand new one they just debuted, I think, right?
Yes.
What's the cost of a ship like that? Startup cost?
To Royal Caribbean?
Yeah, just to build
Just to build that?
Yeah, to build it and get it in operation. I mean,
You have to be in the billions.
I know. And then look at like the idea of the business model of this thing has to run 40 years to make money.
And
50 years to make money.
What you've alluded to, what is the difference between Holland and the demographics and the itineraries versus the Icon and Utopia is coming out within this next year? It was the same large class ship. And I'm trying to encourage my daughter and my 3 little granddaughters and son-in-law to be on the Icon of the Sea, because and here's where you say, well, I could go to Disney or I could do this, but you know what? Royal's business plan is everything is on that ship. The slides, the food, the music, the itinerary. You don't have to, but then they stop at their own private island, Coco Cay, which is something altogether in addition to that is part of your carriage price. Okay, so it's if you got 7 days and you got a family or even just a couple, you're going to have a lot more activity, more cluck for the buck on that 7, 10 day, maybe 14, versus why the long haul. It's the ports a call, not the ship.
Got it.
Ports a call.
Yeah. So, and you're right. Like when I did the Carnival cruise, one day we stopped at their own private island, right? And then you're like, and so you don't really, and that's not the best day in my opinion, right? Because I'm not getting the culture of traveling when I stop at an island that was built by Americans for Americans or whatever, and then all the money that you're spending is going right back to that company and the ship when you're on that island, right? When you're in Nassau or you're some other places in the Caribbean and Grand Turks or whatever, you're spending money with the locals and helping their local economy.
Well, when you look at all the cruise lines, whether it's Carnival, Royal, they are building their own private islands, more so. I mean, the highest water slide in the Northern Hemisphere is at Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean's private island. And it's actually an island built in different segments. So those who just want to sit and enjoy an overwater cabana with a private butler, you can, or you be with the kids eating hot dogs and hamburgers over on the family side. But it's all beach and it's all activities. Some private islands are pretty boring.
Can be. But it depends on what you want to do.
That's right.
If you want to sit on the beach, there's no such thing as a boring private island. Right?
That's right.
With some beautiful water. All right, let me ask you a question. I want to ask you specifically, you have taken every cruise line? You've been on every company's cruise? Or have you been on Virgin?
No, I have not.
All right. So, but you've been on Carnival cruises in your life?
Carnival.
You've been on Royal Caribbean? Princess.
Norwegian Cruise Line.
Okay. Holland America, obviously. Okay, well, that's like 5 or 6 different cruise lines at least.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you got the famous Cunard. And,
Right.
And
With their 1-star service, right? That's their commercial. Cunard is 1-star service. They're what is it? Their elegant British 1-star service, which is interesting because like 1 star, okay, like, but it is like really great service. I like the play on words there for us. But.
it is, and it is. One of these days I will have to do a Cunard.
So what real being catered to.
And it's the ship. The ships themselves have their own personality.
Well, you're kind of for lack of a better term, don't take this the wrong way. You're kind of a boat nerd or a boat geek, right? I mean, you love the ships. You know the weight. You know the names. You know when they were built. You know the amenities they have. You know that some ships are more attractive than the destinations, and then some destinations are more attractive than the ship, right? And you know all those little things because you've done them.
I don't know all, but I do try to be
I challenge
educated.
Anyone in Eddy County. I challenge you to challenge Howard Danforth to a cruise challenge on who knows more information about cruises in this community. Nobody's going to know. I'll bring him in. Come on to the college. We'll have a cruise off, whatever you want to call it, right?
Sounds like fun. But what you just touched on is what is the difference between going ahead and do your thing online by yourself.
Right, because you can do that. I mean, that's very popular,
That's
that's been around for 20 years now, easy, right?
Yes.
Almost,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So
they were trying to put the travel agent out of business in 2000.
And it felt like they were successful for a little while. But I only think because initially, I think that's because everybody was just so excited about the internet and apps or whatever, right? We're starting to get over that, and we're starting to understand that service means something, I think. So go ahead and tell me the difference. Why should I book with danforthtravel.com as opposed to just getting on and doing it myself?
Well, first of all, the working knowledge.
Okay.
And we've been talking about cruises, but let's not forget land.
Well, yeah, you can do everything.
Well,
You book all travel.
I've enjoyed the exposure and learning.
Got it.
It's taken 28 years to learn where not to step.
There's harder lives for the last 28 years than yours, Howard. But please, I'm almost jealous. But go ahead.
Because, all-inclusive resorts, you only find all-inclusives in the Caribbean. You don't find that in Hawaii. You don't find that in Europe. In fact, European plans are usually pay as you go.
Okay.
More so versus the all-inclusive. And again, some of the resorts in the whether it's Mexico or St. Thomas, St. Kitts, St. Croix, where can you go in the Caribbean with just a birth certificate? Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay.
Right. Territories.
And so when I'm quoting this, do you want the European plan or do you want the all-inclusive?
Right. Well, you need to know what you want. Now, you can spend hours and hours researching that online, finding something that's like kind of giving you what you need, or we could call you.
How do you know that if you're a do-it-yourselfer?
Yeah, I mean, you really got to put in a lot of research and time. And so I think one thing that people aren't taking into account is it does take a lot of time. My wife does like to book all of our travel her own. Like It's kind of like a hobby of hers, right? So she's really, really into it. But it is hours and hours and hours of her time and our time. It's and she likes it, so she it works for her, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? I would almost not travel because it would be too much work.
And that comes back many times to the business individuals or in particular corporate. But business is I have to run my business. I can't afford to spend these 2 or 3 hours to research. I need to delegate that to a travel advisor.
Well, time is money.
That's right.
Right. And when you're a small business owner, which my wife and I are, that time seems more valuable than when you work for a company in a way, right? For an organization, because it's your time. But
you mentioned, your wife. She likes to do this, and she's been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's been just her cup of tea, so to speak.
Right.
And so you have to be careful when you say, Howard, I will challenge you. You're pretty knowledgeable. Yes, I am. But there's always somebody out there that sneaks up and says, gee, Howard, just like I thought my 300 days on Holland America was special.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The other guy sitting next to me had 1,800. he could tell me everything more so about it.
Definitely deflated your ego, huh? You're like, 300 days. They're like, yeah, right, buddy. All right, Howard, sum it up for us. We're almost out of time. Tell us what you want to tell us. We're almost out of time for this show.
Well, I want certainly your audience to understand you do have a professional travel advisor that has been in Carlsbad for 28 years. My little office is located in the lobby of the airport, our local airport, and that's advanced air now. And so I can easily make an appointment with me, so I can help you in your travel plans, whether it's land, river, or oceans.
Got it. So everything essentially.
And your question to the audience is, if you call me, I'm looking to know where you want to go, what is your travel budget, how many people are going, and the date of your travel, which makes a big influence.
Sure.
Don't travel.
How far out do you want people to try to book travel?
I like to see them at least consider it, 3 months.
Okay. All right.
But 6 weeks, or I get that.
I mean, you could travel for any expense less if you'd like, but the farther you plan, the better the savings.
The better advance gives you a chance to have better pricing options. But again, the audience out there, you have a travel advisor, Howard Danforth, DanforthTravel.com. I would like to even hear your questions. You don't have to book anything with me. Just call me up and ask me questions that you may have, so I can make life easier for you.
I like that. If you are in Eddy County and you were thinking about taking a trip, go to DanforthTravel.com, see what his options are, right? Talk to Howard. He's here to help you as a community member. Obviously, he would love for you to do business with him, of course, right? But he's also here as a community member. Make sure you get that competitive price for Howard before you go ahead and book that stuff online. You never know what you're going to get.
That's right.
All right. DanforthTravel.com, Howard Danforth. Man, I love having you on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right. Great. Thanks.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Also sponsored by CNB Bank. Go to carlsbadnational.com to learn more.